Petresgitis, on the Aegeus Nikolaos in Crete. Monday, the 11th of August. At about noon Marcus has found us a captain. He is from Crete, and in 3 hours time, he joins us. That's Giargus Clonsus, who is as of today the main captain of FG. He comes from my wife's city, Aegeus Nikolaos, here on the island of Crete. It is also coincidentally the name of our boat. I have never met him. But when Marcus introduces us, and we have a cup of coffee together, my first positive impression turns into lasting admiration and enthusiasm. At 38, Giargus has wrought the sea. 4 years he has worked as a diver and coral fisher. This is a job way more dangerous than sponge fishing, since corals are often found at 130 meters of depth. He now has his own diving ship, one like Aegeus Nikolaos, and has participated in many missions such as archaeological research, wreck salvage, etc. What really counts is the fact that he is straightforward. No ifs, ands, or buts. He is being informed about the mission and the probable danger. He says, "I'll take you to Cyprus, and if I kind of like you, I'll take you down there, to Gaza too." His criterion was not based on danger resulting from the Zionists, but on the mentality of his shipmates. Later I realized he isn't interested in polite behavior, but the willingness to deal with life on a boat. I then remembered F. Angel's words concerning some back-in followers. Would these gentlemen go with traveling on a boat on which no one would obey the captain's orders and everyone would act according to their own will? A knife is an important tool for a small boat sailor, since in the case of an emergency he may need to cut the ropes. Therefore, he always needs to have a knife handy. Ian Vangelis and Giargus shake hands. No contracts, no paperwork. Between two honest men, one's word and shaking hands is quite enough. Giargus gets down to business immediately. The first thing he does is dive and search every inch of the boat's hull. It's not that he doesn't trust his friend Marcus, he wants to shape his own opinion. When I ask him why he would do that, he answers earnestly, "In my lifetime I've been through tough shit, and I know what matters are details." The first detail I could make out was that he pushes 3 knife blades at 3 different spots of the ship. Marcus started checking the engine, the bridge, and the deck, while I make notes of what should be purchased and brought aboard for the necessary repairs. Meanwhile, Derek informs us that Matthew, a second captain, is on his way here from Cyprus. Tuesday, 12th August. Our new British captain, and I do not share the same sentiments. But I don't pay too much attention to his personality, since he is supposed to do his job as a captain, not make friends with me. From the beginning, there is conflict between Matthew and us Greeks, differences in opinion and style, which lead to heated arguments during the next few days. I make sure I calm myself down, convincing myself that it's due to a different cultural mentality. Matthew gathers the passengers on the deck and delivers a rousing speech, and they clap, as if they are just going on a day trip. Giargus, on the other hand, is very brief when speaking during our boat's meeting. "I want only one thing from you, don't think. When I say something, just do it just as I say." It's obvious that he doesn't need us as seamen, he needs us to be passengers who for their own safety respect the sea and the knowledge of their boat's captain, and listen when they need to. Bella on the boats. Tuesday, the 12th of August 2008. I remember a week ago, when we were all less worn out and all our conflicting priorities hadn't driven us quite so crazy. Our so-called quietly spoken Greek sailing contact has since done a lot of shouting, the like of which I have never seen, and hope never to see again. I literally feared his heart would give out, but he's still breathing for now. We have gotten as far as Crete, but challenges before, and since have involved such minor things as winds that completely prevent us from moving, captains not working out, having to scour the world for new ones, the satellite technology for a film that might keep us all alive not working properly, and beginning to run out of money. But it's still all coming together, and the Gaza folks just await us with even more fervor. We hope to sail today from Crete into conditions that our experienced sailors tell us will have us all begging for a place on the land team instead of the boats when we reach Cyprus. We've just decided to go into debt on faith. This is too important. We would prefer as many as possible of the resources, for instance, the boats and the technical staff, to remain in the hands of Gaza human rights organizations or Palestine solidarity projects, not to be sold afterwards to repay debts, though this may have to be an option if funds don't come in, since otherwise various people who drained their own bank accounts may have to go bankrupt. Bella. Greta Berlin, media team, at University of Cyprus. Please post this appeal to your lists far and wide. Thank you. We will arrive in Gaza. 2 years ago, about a dozen human rights activists devised a plan to sail a boat to Gaza in order to break the siege. We rejected a plan to rent a boat as impractical because a similar venture in 1988 failed when the Israelis disabled the boat before it sailed and the 3 organizers were killed. Thus no boat owner would willingly risk his craft. We ultimately decided to purchase 2 small boats that could carry 44 passengers, crew, and media. Each of us contributed what we could, and we also received thousands of dollars from individual supporters. We also held fundraising events, received a few $1,000s from small grants, and several angels helped us along the way. Each passenger has paid his/her own way to get here, and many have raised additional money through their groups, worked extra jobs, and asked family and friends to donate. The passengers also paid an additional €700 each for lodging in Cyprus and to cover the cost of supplies and food on land and sea. Through these efforts we have raised $300,000, which we thought covered our costs. But the eroding dollar-euro exchange rate seriously drained our funds. All of our planning did not anticipate this contingency. We are now in Cyprus awaiting our boat's arrival from Crete. When they come in, we will fuel up with very high-cost diesel and stock necessary food and supplies. We hope to cast off for Gaza this weekend. We are told that thousands of Gazans will greet us on arrival. Many people thought we'd never come this far. But here we are, and we firmly intend to set sail regardless of some recent staggering debts. Frankly, we have spent much more than we've raised. Here are just a few of our recent expenses. 2 Sailor 250 fleet broadband systems, to allow us to stay in electronic contact and to send streaming video in real time, $16,000 each, or $32,000. Repairs required to make the boats seaworthy, $25,000 to $30,000. Electronics, wiring, connections, satellite uplinks, spot trackers to make the system work, $5,000 to $8,000, most of the labor on the electronics. And boats has been donated by the Greek crew and technicians. 44 life jackets and 2 handheld GPS units, $8,000. Paint and banners for the boats, and balloons and toys for Gaza children, $2,000. Diesel fuel for both boats, both ways, $15,000 to $25,000. Except for part of the diesel fuel, we have already paid these costs by running our personal credit cards to the limit, borrowing money, and asking some of the Greek crew to help. Frankly, we are tapped out. We need your help so that we sail on the Mediterranean Sea and not on a sea of debt. Please donate through the PayPal account on our website, www.freegaza.org. Send a tax-deductible check to the US address on the website, and/or send a check to the address in the UAE. Every donation, large or small, will help keep us afloat. And, finally, thanks for your interest, support, and prayers. The passengers and crew on Free Gaza and Liberty. Evan Ridley, aboard the SS Free Gaza. Dicing with death for Gaza. Wednesday, the 13th of August 2008. By the time you read this, our 2 boats, the Free Gaza and SS Liberty, should be sailing from Chania's old port in Crete despite a gloomy forecast of storms ahead. Our captains have decided it is time to quit our dock for security reasons, and so we are heading along the Cretan coastline on our way to pick up the rest of our passengers who have been waiting patiently in Larnaca, Cyprus. We could be in for a rough ride, but we would probably be more at risk by not moving. Israel has a history of using Mossad and Kidden to sabotage and destroy peaceful operations designed to help or show solidarity with Palestinians. Media interest is once again gathering momentum, and there are those who want to join us on board, while others are considering hiring their own boats. Wouldn't it be great if we had a huge flotilla? The more the merrier. However, there are concerns from the media, because Israel has a history of shooting, killing, and arresting journalists who try to report the truth about the brutal occupation of Palestine. I was reminded of this only this morning as I read a release from Reporters Without Borders. The human rights group was condemning today's announcement by the IR to detain Ibrahim Hamad, a soundman employed by the Palestinian news agency Ramatan, for 6 months without bringing charges, and without taking him before any court. Israeli soldiers arrested Hamad at his home in Kalandia, near the West Bank city of Ramallah, on July 15. The Israeli military may not under any circumstances arrest journalists or media assistants without giving a reason, Reporters Without Borders said. If they think a journalist has done something wrong, they must say what it is, and they must explain why they are arresting him. We call for Hamad's immediate release. When reached by Reporters Without Borders, the management of Ramatan firmly condemned his arrest and called for his release. They also called on the Israeli authorities to explain why they are holding him. This is not the first time that one of our employees has been arrested by the Israeli military, the agency said. Israel boasts it is a democracy. These are not the actions of a democratic state. These are the actions of a brutal state that tries to crush those dedicated to telling the truth about the full horrors of the Zionist regime and its determination to see through its deliberate and slow genocide of the Palestinian people. We will be able to see in a few days' time exactly how the Israelis react to a group of peaceful activists who want to sail into Gaza armed with nothing more than love and support for their Palestinian brothers and sisters. If Israel is really a free and open democracy, then its navy will let us past, Mossad will stop trying to sabotage our journey, and all of the journalists on board, including me, will be able to report the truth about what is happening in the world's largest open-air prison, Gaza. In the meantime, I would urge the IR to release our brother Ibrahim Hamad, and allow him to continue his media work. Dr. Bill, back at the University of Cyprus. Back home, I'm usually an early to sleep and early to rise kind of guy. Here, I try to do both, because the night and the early morning are the most tolerable times of the day here in Cyprus, in terms of temperature, and we have no air conditioning in any of the rooms where we sleep, just in the room where we meet. When I can, I spend the late afternoon sleeping in my dorm room with the fan on, or hiking a couple kilometers away with other FG passengers, to cool off in an outdoor community swimming pool. Twice I tried jogging in the park at 6 a.m. one morning. Rashid joins me. He is as sleek as a greyhound, while I'm more like a tank. Fortunately, this is social jogging, and Rashid mercifully decides not to leave me in the dust. We jog at my pace and end up talking about what we might do while we are waiting for the boats to arrive. Our boats continue to be delayed and this is frustrating. They are in Crete, where they have gone public. Now there are photographs of the SS Free Gaza and the SS Liberty out there on the World Wide Web. Lauren Booth, Hugh Whaler-Araf, and Jeff Halper have all joined the boats in Greece and have held a press conference with Paul Lerudi and other organizers. But there is also bad news like cost overruns. We all need to dig deeper into our own pockets and give more, and those of us who can, do. To make matters worse, the boats can't cross the straits between the Greek islands and Cyprus first, because of equipment needs, and then high waves. The locations of the ships continue to be kept secret. Lauren Booth and Osama, my Palestinian roommate, when I was in Athens, have both received death threats. Someone called Lauren Booth's family in France to tell her children to say goodbye to mummy because mum is not coming home from the sea. Osama's family in the West Bank was directly threatened with physical violence by the IRF, and his own life has been threatened as well. Most of us to various degrees are running scared. Tom Nelson is heading off to Saudi Arabia to visit a few clients. Some of our passengers are thinking of going to Lebanon for a few days. After all, Beirut is only a 20-minute flight from Larnaca. The drive from here to the airport takes longer. My passport has a stamp from Ben Gurion Airport in Israel, so that probably won't work for me.